Well, for the second time lately, the Toronto Raptors lose a last few seconds shot to the Charlotte Hornets from the hands of Jeremy Lamb. He fires a three-point shot with 3 seconds left in the game to win it for the Charlotte Hornets as they beat the Raptors 113-101. And look, this game doesn't mean anything. The Charlotte Hornets are a team that, they're hanging on to their playoff hopes. What are they now? With the win today, I think they are, where are they here? They're still 2 games out of a playoff spot with like 2 games to go or 3 games to go. The odds of them getting in are very slim. They're hanging on. For the Raptors, you know what you're trying to do. You're trying to stay healthy. And you're trying to win games, of course. They had won 6 straight coming into the game today. You're bound to lose one at some point. Would it have been great to win 8 straight heading into the playoffs? No doubt about it. But that's just not going to happen. All right? Now, with this loss today, the Raptors now have 2 games remaining of the regular season. I think they won 5 straight. I don't know, 5 or 6 straight. And you have 2 games left, right? You've got Miami at home on Sunday afternoon. And then on Tuesday, April 9th, you head to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. So, and then the playoffs get going there on the 13th of April. So the playoffs are right around the corner for the Raptors. And I don't care if we lose this game, the Miami game, and the Minnesota game. It doesn't really matter. Because the playoffs are what matters. We know we're the number 2 seed, and we know how good this team can be. Now, with this game the way it was, look, the Raptors started out of the gate not that bad. At one point, they had a 12-point lead in the first quarter, but then their defense just kind of crawls into a shell, and they end up giving 33 points in the first quarter. They scored 34, but you're only +1. After 1 quarter of play. Second quarter, great job. +7. All right. So they're +8 at the half. Things are going well. Problem. The Raptors just have an abysmal third quarter. They can't make a shot, and they can't defend. They give up 33. They only score 21. They're -12 in the quarter, and just like that, your 8-point lead, you're now stuck 4 heading into the fourth quarter. And the Raptors more or less match basket for basket there. Now, I do have to give the Raptors some credit here for being down by 6 with 2.5 minutes left to end up getting the lead by 1. I think it was 111-110. But then Kemba Walker drives. All the attention goes to him. He kicks it to Jeremy Lamb, and he knocks down the 3 for the game winner. And he obviously, not too long ago, like last weekend or a couple weekends ago, he's the one that hit the half-court buzzer beater, pretty much. The Gracie buzzer beater that he fired up against Raptors. You know what? It's not like they got blown out against a bad team. They're facing a desperate team in Charlotte who is hanging on to their playoff hopes. They're at home. The crowd was pretty loud today there in Charlotte. And they're playing for their playoff lives. Meanwhile, the Raptors are just trying to stay healthy. They don't want to force anything and get too hurt. And I don't blame them. Now, would you love to win these games? Oh, I could, absolutely. I would have loved to see Kawhi drain that last shot, but he gets stuck in between the net and the backboard. And that was pretty much all she wrote at that point, Because Fred VanVleet was right underneath the basket ready for the rebound, but it got stuck, and that's that. It happens, guys. You don't dwell on it, because if you do, you're not going to sleep at night, and there's no reason to not sleep at night for a game 80 of the regular season in a meaningless game. I understand everyone's like, well, every game means something. Yeah, I get that. When it comes to standings and seeding and people you're possibly playing, I mean, you can arguably say Charlotte, but I don't even know if it's physically possible for us to play them. As of right now, it is Orlando, and Charlotte is, 2.5 back of them. So, I mean, the odds of them catching them for 7th are very slim, if not impossible. So, for the Raptors, you don't really dwell on this loss at all. A desperate team facing a not-so-desperate team on the road. Now, the next game for the Toronto Raptors will be this type of feel. The Miami Heat on Sunday are a 12 o'clock tip. That's a noon tip-off at Scotiabank Arena. Really, really weird there. They're in the 9th seed right now. They're half a game behind the Brooklyn Nets. That game for them is massive. They lose that, and boy, oh boy, that could be the end of their season. It's going to be really interesting to see how all that plays out. But as for the Raptors, they shoot the ball. They had a great first half when it comes to shooting the ball. What were they? 54% from the field for the game. That's great. Now, what we saw today was the three-point shot go down a little bit. They only made 9 threes, 9 for 26 for 35%. Now, you can't, like I've said before, you can't dwell on it because it's the first time in like 8 games they've shot under 40% from 3. That's pretty damn good if you ask me. They do shoot 80% from the line, 16 of 20. They rebounded them by 3, 43-40. Offensive glass was 8-5 in favor of the Hornets. 27 assists for the Raptors. But again, problem, turnovers. It's an issue. 14 turnovers for the Raptors. They only have 6, you know? And that's going to happen. This is the reason this team lost today. The points off of turnovers. Yes, we had 7 points off of their 6 turnovers. But off of our 14, they got 20. 20 points off of 14 turnovers. Imagine if you turn it over 10 or 8 or 9 in the single digits even. You would have won this game. But the Raptors, they couldn't take care of the ball at times in the third quarter. They were throwing the ball away. They just looked a little off in that third, and it really just kind of crumbled underneath them, and they couldn't quite land the final punch in the fourth quarter and hang on to the lead. And like I said, it took a clutch three-point shot in the dying seconds by Jeremy Lamb to save the season for the Hornets and for them to get the victory. It happens. Right? It really does, and you can't really dwell on it. Second chance points were 16-9 in favor of the Charlotte Hornets. So 2 things that the Raptors are kind of shaky at when it comes to, you know, what we've noticed, I guess. The offensive glass, yeah, that's a problem. But when they don't score in those chances, in the end, it doesn't really matter, right? Because scoring is what matters. But you got, on the second chance points, you got outscored by 7. And on the points off of turners, you were minus 13, you know? Those 2 stats do kill you. And this was a game where you look back at the turnovers as being an integral part of your loss. You clean that up. And I understand, again, like this team doesn't want to hurt themselves. They're playing tentative. They don't really need the wins. So that's fine. I'm okay with losing the games. But it's come playoff time. I want to see 10 turnover games, 8 turnover games, 7 turnover games. Clean basketball. And that is when it matters. In playoff time, all right? We're almost there, Raptor fans. We're feeling it. But you do have to take positives out of a loss. And us as Jays fans, we've learned how to do that. Kawhi Leonard was fantastic today. 29 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, 12 of 18 shooting, 4 of 7 from the line, 1 of 5 from 3. So he struggled from beyond the arc. But again, he knocked down 29. He shot, was at 66% from the field. That's pretty damn good if you ask me. Siakam had 14 points. Quite a few of those were in that fourth quarter, trying to get this team back in it. He was 5 of 9 from the field, 2 of 3 from beyond the arc, and he was a +6. I would have loved him to shoot a little bit more, but that didn't happen. Marc Gasol only took 2 shots, but he had 6 points, 6 rebounds, a couple assists, 1 of 2 from the field, 1 of 1 from 3. He got all 3 field goals. He had a block in the game. He was a +11 on the floor. Kyle Lowry, double-double, 16 points, 11 assists, shot 6 of 13, 2 of 8 from 3, +15 on the floor. He was great. And Danny Green, again, they're really lowering Danny Green's minutes. I don't even think Danny Green played the fourth quarter, if not the dying minutes of the fourth quarter, which I think come playoff time, as much as Fred VanVleet's been really good for this team since he come back from the injury, I'd love to see Danny Green in those dying minutes. Just how clutch he is and how great of a three-point shooter he's been this year for this team. That's the way I feel about it. You guys can go nuts about your thoughts towards it, but Danny Green had 8 points and 3 rebounds on 3 of 6 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3. He had a steal in the game. He was a -7 when he was out there. Fred VanVleet, 12 points, 5 assists on 4 of 8 shooting. Serge Ibaka, another big night. He had a huge night in the last game. 20 points, 12 rebounds on 10 of 15 shooting. And get this, only in 21 minutes. Yeah, that is called dominance in very limited time. But you know what, guys? It's all about feeling out, and it was great to see OG Anunoby back in the game today. Yes, he shot 1 of 4 from the field, 0 of 3 from beyond the arc, and he only had 4 points and a steal. He was a -4. But it's great to see him on the floor. And Jeremy Lin, yeah, I'm trying to stay calm with this guy, but I don't think he's going to do much of. He's going to do much on the playoffs unless injuries occur, which let's all hope it doesn't happen. Because today, 10 minutes, he had no points, a rebound, missed both shots he took, and he was in -11. That's not great. Whenever you're minus like 11, only playing 10 minutes, that's not very good. And Jeremy Lin was not great here today, and he really hasn't been good as a Toronto Raptor. So, but for this team to succeed and for this team to continue to develop here with 2 games remaining, I'd love to see a couple wins to end the year. But in the end, it doesn't matter. We all have we all have written on our calendar, or I guess put in our phones, playoff time, April 13th. That's what we're waiting for. And yes, these 2 games are in the way, and we can watch Raptor basketball, and if they win, hey! If they lose, oh well. It doesn't matter. All right? So let's not get all emotional about these games, because you really can't. And let's move on. All right? So like I said, guys, the next game is on Sunday against the Miami Heat. It's a 12 o'clock noon tip-off. Noon on his... What up with these noon games, man? It's really weird. It's a noon game on Sunday afternoon as Raptors take on the Miami Heat in the final home game of the regular season. All right? So that's this Sunday, April 7th. The final home game of the regular season for the Toronto Raptors, all right? So that is going to do it for this one. You guys have enjoyed this video, and you guys, well, if you enjoyed the game because it was entertaining, hit that like button. I do appreciate that. Hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already. Comment down below what you think of the game, and who was your MVP for the Toronto Raptors in today's game. I'm pushing towards either Serge Ibaka or Kawhi Leonard, with Serge getting a double-double, 20 and 12 in 21 minutes. I mean, he did take 15 shots in 21 minutes, which is quite a bit. But Kawhi Leonard, extreme efficiency, 29 points and on 12 of 18 shooting. He was incredible once again today. I want to hear your guys' thoughts towards this. Also, I thought Pascal should have shot a little bit more. Only 9 shots, 5 of 9. Great job, but I would have loved to see him shoot more. But that's just my thought towards that. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts towards this team heading into the playoffs. And how are you guys hanging in there? Because I'm kind of getting like, okay, let's get the season going. How are you guys doing? I want to hear your guys' thoughts on all that. And Evan and I will talk to you guys podcast edition. It is going to be either Wednesday or Thursday this upcoming week. Link is in the description for the podcast channel and for the podcast itself on iTunes. Twitter is also down below. Follow up. Send me a DM. Do all that great stuff. And I will talk to you guys Blue Jays edition very shortly as they got walked off. So the Raptors lost on a I wouldn't say a buzzer beater, but it was a last second shot by Jeremy Lamb. And the Jays get walked off. Not a great night for Toronto sports. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. And as for the Leafs, guys, their next game is Saturday night in Montreal. However, with the Columbus Blue Jackets winning in a shootout over the New York Rangers today, that officially eliminates the Montreal Canadiens from postseason contention. The playoffs, what just happened there? The playoffs are locked in. Maybe not the seeding, but the teams are locked in. And now it's just a matter of who plays who. And for the Leafs, we've known for the last month who the hell we're facing. And we'll be able to get the thing going on Wednesday. I think, well, the playoffs start Wednesday. When the Leafs play, we're not too sure yet. But that's exciting. Their final game of the season is in Montreal on Saturday night. So no real craziness going to be happening in that game on Saturday because it really doesn't mean anything for either team. For the Leafs, you just want to stay healthy. And for the Habs, yeah, I don't really know what their thought is going into that game. But that is on Saturday night, 7 o'clock puck drop there at the Bell Center in Montreal. And as for the Raptors, guys, like we talked about, their final 2 games of the regular season is upon us. The final 2 games. Let's just get through them, and then we'll get to the playoffs, all right? But then game 1 of the last 2 games is on Sunday afternoon, noon tip-off at Scotiabank Arena, the final home game of the regular season for the Toronto Raptors. All right, as they welcome in the Miami Heat to Scotiabank Arena. So thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you guys then.